Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. It's not Wednesday, but I'm coming to you live to share another project. I gave some credit in the description. So when I first saw tonight's project, it was from my friend Karen, and she had gotten it from Brenda Quintana. So I just want to make sure that I let people know where to go to find original things. Um, Obviously, I'm going to twist mine up a little bit, do things a little differently. So, with that said, let me share a couple of tonight's items with you. So, I'm going to be using the Humble Home stamp set. You can see it's got the house here, the brick part for the back. I did not use that part. I think that I'm still going to skip that part for now. I wanted mine to have a place to sign on the back, so I left it blank. So let me show you first. I'll share. This is the one that my friend Lisa made. And she's stuck a couple little chocolates in there. She's got these cute little hearts and little gems on there. So this is the one that she made. Okay, that was at our little class the other day. This is one that I made, and it's got a little chapstick in there. And on the back, you can sign who it's from. So I'm going to show you this one first, but then I'm going to share with you basically Brenda Quintana's. Looks like a 3D gingerbread house, but the magic is that you can put one of those Ferrero Rochers, or this is a Lindt truffle. So we're going to learn how to make this little ornament as well. So much fun. The bulk of tonight is going to be how to cut and fold and glue your paper so that you create this 3D ornament, okay? So let me click over here for a moment, and I'm going to switch my screen around so you can see. So I'm going to start with this little guy first. Again, it's just a little pocket on the inside here. And I originally had red tissue paper, but it made it look like the house was on fire. So I decided to switch that around just a little bit. So what I've done is I took the little gingerbread house and I stamped it. Now this one I did early espresso. And for the other one, I did use the craft white so that it looks like a gingerbread house. So one of the tricks to any of these double-sided houses is that you want to cut at least one that is kind of blank so that you can flip it in the opposite direction so that your chimney lines up and aren't on mismatched sides in the end. So you can see if I were to do two of these and put them back to back, I would end up with two chimneys, one for each side. So I have just a blank one. Like I said, I want to be able to sign Love Nicole, or I did Merry Christmas on them. So that is what I preferred to do. If you go back and find Brenda Quintana's on YouTube, you'll see that she went really, really fancy and has like the brick background for the back of her house, which you could do and then just add a little tag to the top. Either way, honestly, it's creativity your way, right? So any way you want to create is absolutely wonderful. So again, we're going to do this one first. So I'm going to go ahead and for the sake of time, I pre-stamped some things. So the fun part of this is you're not cutting anything out. We have this fabulous Humble Home punch. one of those locking closed kind. So they store really nicely and they actually stand really nicely when you have like 10 of them on your table at a time. So super simple to cut this out. You get the little heart. I haven't decided exactly where to put the square. So if you're a demo and you know what to do with the little square, I would love to know what happens with that piece. So I went ahead, took care of a blank home and a gingerbread home. And then I've got a piece of cardstock that matches. This is going to form the box, and it is 3.5 by 1.5. And what we're going to do is on the long sides, we're going to score a 1/4 inch down the left and the right. That is going to end up being the flaps that adhere the front and back of the house together. So then I'm going to score this 1.25 inches from each end. And then using some sharp, snippy type scissors, you are going to cut like a wedge, a triangle, not just a little flap like we do when we're doing boxes, but you want an entire triangle because you want to basically make a flap for each of these pieces. So I'm just using that score line, cutting all the way to the score line from both sides. And I'm doing that for these cross scores. Does not have to be fancy. It's not perfect. You just need a place for those flaps to fold. You can see I cut that one a little bit more. It's not going to matter. So then I'm going to gently fold all of my flaps toward the inside. And then I will fold those. So this is what I end up with. And you can see how that little notched edge is going to help it fold up. Out of the way. All right. So I used green glue. I found that it worked the best. And one of the tips that Brenda had that I absolutely loved was that she starts with like the center tab, and I probably put a tiny bit too much on there. And this is the piece she puts on first at the bottom of her house and kind of has that adhere first before she tries to finagle those side pieces. And I did put just a tiny bit too much, so I'm going to give it just a moment to kind of grip and stick. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now what I can do is add a tiny bit of glue to these outer flaps and turn them up as well. See if I can do a tiny bit less on here. There we go. And then I'm just going to kind of fold these up like airplane wings going in and lining it up so that it is fairly perpendicular to the bottom. And I'm just kind of pushing that down, and it is a much better hold. So you can see what that looks like now. Okay. And you can see you could put like a Hershey Kiss in here or whatever. So again, for this one, I'm going to go ahead and adhere that bottom piece. I'm lining up the chimney, key piece to not forget. And I'm just kind of putting a little bit of pressure on there until it sticks and holds. Hi, Karen. All right, so then I can kind of open this up a little bit if I don't unstick it while I do it. And then I can add a little bit of my glue to these flaps. Trying not to push too hard, and boy, it's tricky to get this just right. All right. So now I'm just going to hold those in and hold this flap shut for just a moment. And you can see that that is finished. If I wanted to stamp like I did on this one, I would do that first and do any writing. I mean, it's fairly good, but I think I would probably make a mess if I tried to do anything other than maybe I don't know. I would make a mess. I could sign my name and that's about it. So if you want something cute on there, do it before you glue the whole thing together. That's what I'm saying. All right, let me see if one of the Linder truffles fits in there. Not so great. So I'm going to recommend the Hershey Kisses, or to put together something slim like this. There's definitely some room in here. So if you've got a tween who loves a little bit of a cheek blush, you can use one of those little stick blushes, I guess is what they might be called. So again, something little. Add whatever bling you want here. I pulled out one of my favorites, which is last year's sellout, which was the iridescent adhesive back discs. And these were so much fun last year, and I used so many, but they are, I think they are still in our catalog. I totally did not double check that, so I failed you there, but I do believe they are current. So I added one to the front, so it has a little circle window instead of a heart. Again, you could put a heart and then that embellishment on top, just like these that Lisa did. I like to share what everybody else does too, because we are all creative in our own ways. And I love the way other people's brains work sometimes better than my own. So, all right. So look how simple that was. Like really, they don't take much time at all to do the little boxes. All right, so let's get on to the other one. It is a little trickier. I'm going to move some things around so I can pull out my directions, because I'm probably going to do it wrong, but I'll try. I'll try to do it all the right way. Okay, so again, you have a front and a back for this ornament. You're going to have an outside component that slides down over an inside component. So we are going to do the outside or the top first. Okay. So when I cut these, the top is 5 7/8 by 1.5. I just put a little T on it. You can see the T penciled on the bottom here. You can always cover that up if you feel like it. It really, I didn't think it mattered much, but it helped me to remember which piece I'm folding, because these measurements are important. All right, so we are going to score this at 1/4 inch down the side. Again, that's going to be our flap, those little pieces that we glue. And then we're going to turn this and we're going to score it at 1 3/8. Don't be afraid of those eighths. If you have a good measuring tool, they're easy enough to identify. We'll do 1 3/8, 2.5, and then 3.5, 4.5, and then I'm going to come up here and do the 5 5/8, or you can flip it around and just do 1/4 inch at the bottom. Okay, so this is what that looks like. Let's see if you can, I don't know if it shows very well. Well, let's do this. So I'm going to go ahead and fold on all of these lines, and then we're going to do the same little triangle notches at each of these intersections like we did for the last one. So, And actually, you're going to pull this square off. So I did that, but then you actually want to notch this and this. Okay. Again, those notches really help everything to kind of lay flat. And 2 more. All right. Pull these out of the way so they don't stick to anything in a minute. Okay, so again, this is going to be the top or the outer piece, and then I have this one for the bottom or the inside piece. I am also going to cut this one. There we go. So you want all of these edges notched. So I'm going to fold all of those back in. I'm going to glue this first and create that outer shape. Again, I am using my green glue for this, my all-purpose glue. You can use a little bit of tear and tape here. Whatever your favorite adhesive is really what you're going to want to use. And I just lined this up with the fold line there. I'm just going to hold that down for a moment. All right, so then can kind of fiddle with this, and you can kind of start to see where you have that. Now I marked my T, and it turns out it's going to be the side on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can erase it because I didn't mark it in the right square. I can always add a layer of DSP on the sides if I chose. So that is my bottom. So again, this is going to be the flap that I glue on first. And I'm going to line this up at the bottom here and just kind of hold it down till it sticks. Well, hello, Miss Tanya. I wish I wasn't going to be on the road tomorrow because I would prefer to be at your place crafting all night. All right, I'm going to now add the glue to the other pieces here. So again, fold that flap back so I can get to these. Tiny bit, not too heavy-handed with the glue. And then I'm simply going to line that up, which I must have done something different on this. Oh, there we go. I always think I do it wrong till I get it together, and then it's like, oh, it's right. Okay, so here is the outside box piece that's going to fit over the other piece. Now, it's not finished because it does have a roof. I chose to do a white roof. Okay, so this piece is 2 3/4 by 1 1/4. And this is the piece we're going to use to put our, I'm looking for my smush board here. We're going to put the hanging piece for the ornament on here. So basically, you're going to grab a pokey tool of some nature. I'm sure you all have one. And from the inside, you're just going to kind of, I eyeballed it. You're free to measure if you want to do that. And I'm just going to poke a decent sized hole right here. So you can see that. That is what I'm going to put my ornament hanger through. I do believe that Brenda did hers through her outer layer and the top layer. I'm just doing one layer. I'm pretty comfortable with my glue's sticky ability. But what I will say is that using a thicker twine, especially one with a twisty second color was a pain in the royal booty. So I am going to switch to this really pretty gold twisted thread if I can get the end to pull up. There we go. So you can see this is a little bit finer. It's going to go through the hole a little bit better. I will double knot it at the bottom. So that I have a tiny bit of bulk right here. So it's not going to slip through that hole that I created. Of course, I could create a smaller hole. However, pushing this through is not fun. So you do want to make sure that you pull that second knot down so that it is building up on the first knot. There we go. And then I'm going to attempt to push this through here. All right, that is pretty solid. And then I'm going to slather, not really slather, but I am going to add a little bit extra adhesive to this roof so that when I place it on there, it's not going to, it won't pull off once I hang it with that little chocolate in there. So just lining that up, basically gluing that knot right underneath the roof. And the roof is going to stick out on both sides. You can see I'm just kind of holding this in place. Okay, so there is the top of our ornament. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and let's do the bottom. Okay, so the inside or the bottom is going to look very, very similar. So I have my B written on here so that I remembered it was the bottom. It's 5.5 by 1.5. Again, we are going to score 1/4 inches down the length of that piece. And then we're going to turn it and we're going to score at 1 1/4, 2 3/8, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I had to double check and make sure I was doing the right sizes. 3 1/4, 4 1/8, and 5 1/4. Again, I'm just gonna, I know it's 1/4 inch on the other end, so I don't have to open this up, just like that. Okay, so again, there is that. So folding them just helps to see them a little bit better. So okay. Create those little notches. And I'm just going to do this. I'm going to cut this one diagonally right across there. Okay, so now we're going to do the same exact process for attaching this to this house, the back piece. So I started on the edge, created my shape. And now my bee is in the right place. It gets covered up anyway. Oh, I moved it. Okay. Here's my bottom. So again, we will start with that piece. And I'm going to make sure that the chimney lines up. So when this is down, this will go on top. So you want to make sure your chimney is in the right spot. Okay. Then we're going to add the rest of our glue. And again, I turned it, just kind of wiggled it to fold those flaps in. My head's not in the way here. And just kind of line that up with the house shape. Oop. And you got to hold it down long enough, Nicole. And then actually what I did the first go round was I stuck the bottom in and then I added the glue. And then I just kind of pressed it shut like this. Then you can see it comes apart. And you can put a cute little Ferrero Rocher or Lindt Linder truffle. And then you can put the top back on. Let's see. Oh, well, it's probably best if you tuck the little flagged ends in. Otherwise, it pushes it apart. There we go. All right. So, I mean, how super simple was that? If you're, again, if you listened last night, I talked a lot about making things in bulk. I am a teacher. I make things for people that I work with. I love giving little extras to teachers and admins. So I tend to scale back on things that I'm creating in large batches. So again, if you want to see the really fancy one, look up Brenda Quintana on YouTube, and you can see hers. And she really goes all out in hers, and it's gorgeous and fabulous. So here are tonight's projects, and I hope that you enjoyed them as much as I did. Let's see. Tomorrow night, I am not going to be live. I hope my schedule shows that I'm not live tomorrow because I'm going to be on the road. And as much as I can do things in my camper, I'm probably not as great at doing things in the truck while we're riding. So I'm going to take a night or two off, and I will see you all in a couple of days with another project. I hope you'll come back.